Hello guys, welcome to the 14th video of our Python playlist, and in this video we will discuss file handling. So basically, when we used to execute our programs, we store the data in some variables and then we use some data structures just like list, array, uh, and tuples. So basically in Python, so what happens that whenever we exit the program, all the data which we enter is lost. So to preserve that entered data, we basically store that data into some files or a database. So today we will discuss the file handling, and specifically we will discuss the text files today. The other way to store the data is database. So databases will be discussed later on. So right now we are going to see that how we can create files, how we can read data from files, how can we write data into the files, and how we can append an existing file, and how to modify basically, or how to update a file. So let me create a function, and the function name is create file. So what we have to do, we have to take a variable which is file is equal to open, and here firstly we have to give the name of the file. We have to give the name of the file. Let's say the name of the specific file is file1 f1.txt. If you guys can see, here it is an open function, and if I comment here, so the thing is that the open function has two types, one with single argument and the other one is with two arguments. The single argument mean that it is just for reading, and the two arguments are, the single argument means that the file will be opened, that an existing file will be opened and data will be read from it. In the other open function, we have the read mode, which can be just read, other will be write, other will be append, and r plus or w plus. So this means r means that the data is the file is to be just the data from the file is just to be read. Then write mode, then append means that there is an existing file and we will add data and previous data will also remain there. And r plus means that we will read and write data in that specific file, and w plus also means the same. So what we have to do, we have to open this file to with write mode. Why? Because if I can show you the directory, so there is nothing over here except the .py file. So if I now what I have to do, that I have to write something in that file. So for that we can use file.write function, and let's say I write hello world inside that file, and then I have to close that file. It is compulsory to close that file. So if I run this now, and here I should write create file to run this, so that I will not need to enter the function name in the Python shell. So if I run this, so here you guys can see that nothing is being printed. But if I go over here, now you guys can see that f1, the file is created, and inside that file hello world is entered. Now, let me write over here that print data entered. And we can, in one go, we can add multiple data in the file. So if I write file dot write, for example, flamingo over here. So if I run this again, so here you guys can see that flamingo has been entered. But what if I want flamingo to be entered in the next line? So for that I have to enter \n over here. \n over here. So if I run this now, so data has been entered, and if I see over here, so flamingo is on the next line now. So this is how we can create a file. To write data into a file, we already have used this write function. We can write the data from the list to file also, or to a data structure to the file also, but we have to make sure that in the data structure, all the data is in string type. So now the problem is that what if I get data in terms of, for example, age also. For example, age is 24. So basically we have to convert that age into string. So what we have to do is that if I want, I will just def write file. So what we have to do is that, let's say I had a structure, a list, and in that list, let's say I have C, then O, then D, then E, then M, then O, then S, then A, then I, then C. So if I want to write this data structure into the file, so for that I have to open the files. File is equal to open the file s1.txt just for the writing purpose. What will happen basically when we will execute this function, the previously entered data, hello world and flamingo, will be removed. So I should write for file dot write lines, and then we have to pass the data structure, and then we have to close the file. And let me write file over here, and if I run this, so you guys can see the data entered is printed, and if I go here, now you can see that code mosaic is written inside. Alright, now we can, for example, I want the existing data should exist and new data should be entered in the file. So for that, we have to open that specific file in the append mode. And now if I will run this code, what will happen that when I will run this, so in the file, in the first line, hello world will be entered, and the second line, flamingo, followed by code mosaic will be entered. But code mosaic will not be entered in the next line because we are not using the \n over here. Alright, so if I run this, so here you guys can see that code mosaic is written in the second line just next to flamingo. The important thing is that if I just change it to write mode, then what will happen? It will just show code mosaic. Why? Because in simple words, write mode basically creates a new file with the same name, and or you can say the write mode basically overwrites the data stored in the existing file. So the other thing is that now what we have to do is that we have to read the data from the file. For that, let me define a read data function, and in that read data function, let's say that we have to read the data. So for that, we have to do file is equal to open, and here we have to write f1.txt for reading. Then what we have to do is that we have basically three functions for reading. One is read, other one is read line, and the last one is read lines. In the read function, it basically reads all characters at once. The read line function reads line by line, line by line. So here we need a loop. And the read lines function basically returns a list of all the lines in a txt file. Alright, now what we have to do is that we have to see the implementation of each of these functions. So what we have to do, let's say a is equal to file dot read, and if I print a now, so let's see what happens. Create file and now read data. So here you guys can see that CodeMosaic is printed over here. Let's say that here I write these lines also. In read mode, when we open file, it is a better practice to close the file. But if you are not closing the read mode, then it would work fine. But when we will be using the write mode or append mode, then it is obligatory to close the file. The reason is that the file is open and any data can be entered later on. That is not a good practice. So it's better that, or no one can enter data in that file. So it is a better practice to close that file. So I forgot to close file over here. It is not a problem, but we have to close. Every time we open a file, we have to close it. So if I run this, so you guys can see that CodeMosaic, Hello World, and Flamingo is printed. Now, let's see that how let me write over here, print using read. And the thing is that a read function can be used in another way, that we can pass the number of characters we want to read. So let's say I want to read the first 10 characters. So for that, we have to just write 10. And if I will run this now, so you guys can see that CodeMosaic is printed. Let's say that I change this to 15, and if I run this, so CodeMosaic hello is printed now. So this means that first 15 characters, 10 and 5, 15 characters has been read by the read function. Now let's see that how we can use the read line function. So for that, what we have to do using read line. So what we have to do, we have to replace file.read with file.readline. Then while a not equal to empty string, then what should we do? We should print a first and here I have to, I have to take a variable, let's say equal to 1, and here I just try to write x comma a so that we can see the line numbers also. And then we have to read the next line again. So for that, we have to do a is equal to file dot read line. So I forgot to increment the value of x also. Now I am incrementing it. So if I run this now, so you guys can see that using readline 1 word, then 2 flamingo is printed. Now the thing is that instead of hello world, it is just, or instead of code mosaic hello world, it is just printing world. What is the reason behind that? Using the read function, we have read the first 15 characters, right? So basically, we always have, when we open a file for reading, or when we open a file for writing, there is a file pointer. The pointer indicates that from which position basically it is reading the file. So let me show you guys something. If I write print file dot tell, so what will happen? It will tell the position of the file pointer right now. So if I run this, so here you guys can see that it is in the 15th position. It is in the 15th position. And from the 15th position, it will read the rest of the text. Now you guys can see that here, there is a gap. There is nothing written. That it is better that this 2 flamingo would have been written over here. Why it is not? Because after word, there is a \n, and because we are using the print function basically already have an next line character at the end. So that's why there was space there. So the thing is that if I will comment this now, and if I run this, so now you guys can see that 1 code mosaic hello world and 2 flamingo is printed now. The other thing is that I can write comma end is equal to empty string over here so that the previous problem could be resolved. Now you guys can see that the first line 1 code mosaic hello world is printed, and the next line 2 flamingo is printed. So the third function is that we can use the read lines function. What it do? So it basically returns a list of all the lines in the text file. So what we have to do, we have to write a is equal to file dot read lines, and for I in a, what we have to do, we have to print this code should be written. This should be written over here so that the lines. So we have to basically print x comma I, and in the next line we have to do x plus equal 1. So what will happen basically, a is a list and we are reading the text inside the list. So the problem is now that using read lines is there, but it isn't printing nothing, because if I use the tell function over here again, print file dot tell, so the problem is that the pointer is already at the end. So basically there are two things. Either we shift it back to the position 0, or we open the file again. So to shift the position, we can use the seek function. What the seek function do? It moves the pointer is moves a file pointer to a specific position. Let's say I want that the file must be read from character 15. So for that, I have to just write file.seek15. I have to write this over here. And if I will run this now, so you guys can see that the position was 31. Let me write over here print file.tell again. And here I have to write after using seek function. And if I run this now, so you guys can see that from after using seek function, the position is 15, and from 15 it is printing one world and then flamingo. Alright, so this was regarding the seek function and the read lines. I hope you guys got the concept of the basic concepts of file handling. In the next video, we will discuss an example in which we will implement the file handling and the data updation in the specific file will be done. So I hope you guys got the concept of how to use this function. So see you guys until the next video. Take care. Goodbye.